Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would first like to thank you all for coming today and helping to make Chris and Ali's wedding such a perfect day. Personally, I wish you'd all stayed at home and relieved me of my public speaking. But there you go. I'd like to say a quick thank you to the ushers, Pete, Paul, Reliable Stu, and also to the bridesmaid Ellen for doing such an exceptional job, only to be ignored in the groom's speech. I want to say a big thank you to all the guys that came to Le Mans for Chris's stag and helped make it a distant, blurry memory. I'll thank Chris as well for being such a good sport. If nothing else, then for volunteering to carry all our vehicles. When I say volunteer, he was handcuffed to it. She's been mentioned before, but before I get bogged down in my speech, I want to just quick mention Chris's mum, Joy, who obviously would have loved to have been here, but unfortunately passed away earlier this year. She was an exceptional person, and I'd appreciate it if you'd all join me to raise a glass in her honour. To Joyce. Joyce. And Chris, I think I'm off the hook. Heartbeats. Some say that the lifespan of animals is proportional to the number of heartbeats it has throughout its lifetime. Roughly speaking, a mouse's heart beats rapidly and as such lives for a longer period of time than an animal with a slower heartbeat, such as a tortoise. It's not to say that a tortoise's life is more fulfilled than a mouse's, it's just that the mouse requires much less time to see and do everything that it needs to. While Chris, the tortoise, goes through life at a much slower pace. Which brings me to my first point, which I'm sure you're all aware. Chris is slow. Pretty much everything. Getting dressed, eating, working, finding a girlfriend. All this goes on. A few examples. When we were kids, I knocked round at Chris's to see if he wanted to come down to the park for a kick around. He said he just needed to put his socks and shoes on. 2 hours. Another time, Chris was getting ready to go to Santa Pod Raceway with some of the guys for a day of drag racing. It took him so long to get himself organised that by the time they got there, there was only half an hour of racing before the sun went down and the racing finished. I was so pissed off. Talking of sunsets, we were in San Diego, California about 10 or 11 years ago, and Chris was stood for 2 hours with his feet in the water, the sea just lapping at his ankles, just waiting and watching as the sun slowly went down. Camera around his neck, poised ready for that perfect moment as the sun just arrived. When the sun eventually did come down, Chris raised his camera, switched it on, adjusted the exposure, aperture, shutter speed, everything was adjusted to perfection. No better photo would be taken by that perfect moment, just as the sun dipped under the horizon, the boat went past. You may or may not know that Chris is a multi-talented guy. He's actually building himself a GT40 sports car. If you don't know what a GT40 is, it's kind of like a Ferrari in a sense, like low, long, sleek sports car. I did some research online in preparation for this speech, and I found on an enthusiast website that the average time to build a GT40 kit is around 1 to 2 years. 2.5 years was described by one person as a drawn-out build. Field in 2004. I'm pleased to say that after 9 years, it's not even nearly finished. By my reckoning, however, if he pulls his socks up, then I'll probably mention how long that Chris has always liked tinkering with cars, having restored to pretty good condition a Volkswagen Beetle, only then to leave it to rust and rot on his dad's driveway. The MR2, which was up on his dad's driveway for quite a few weeks, waiting for Chris to tighten how many bolts, Chris? 1 bolt. And the BMW, which broke down not too far into the journey to Scotland for Paul and Lynn's wedding last year, which won him some brownie points at Ali, but it was. He was showing up. I should mention as well that during the Beetle restoration, when it was close to completion, with the new exhaust fitted, the entire car resprayed, Chris took it out for a test drive with his dad. As they rounded the first corner, there was a hefty bump and a scraping sound, followed by the wheel, which had just come off. All in all, I think it's safe to say that while Chris really likes tinkering with cars, he's apparently not very good at it. Shall I mention Jan?
Yes.
So when we were much younger, there were 4 or 5 of us playing out in the street, generally mucking about, and one of Chris's trainers comes up. There may have been some pinning him down on the ground. But the most obvious thing to do when someone's shoe comes off is to climb up the nearest lamppost and hang on to those shoes. This is what we did. Chris picked himself up in a bit of a huff and made his way towards his house. Unfortunately, it was a bit icy, and while his sock was quite grippy, his one shoe foot slipped on the ice and he fell over backwards. None of us heard the bone in his left arm break, but he did seem to be in a little bit of pain. So I climbed back up the lamppost to retrieve the shoe. The other lads went to get Chris's parents, who escorted him back inside. It wasn't until the next day that I heard the news that Chris was in hospital with a complicated fracture to his left arm. If you don't know what that is, well, basically the bone is split. So was it just 2 pieces?
It wasn't a fracture, it was a clean break.
Yeah, okay. The bone was actually broken like that and severed an artery, causing a little internal bleeding. Nothing too serious. They managed to save both him and his arm, and with some pretty gnarly surgeries, he's got great scars. And he only spent about 3 weeks in hospital.
Serious contraction.
All these years on, he still can't actually straighten his left arm fully. We do laugh about it. I would encourage anyone who has doubts about the strength of their friendship to try something similar. There is the poor fellow. Fortunately, Chris has done some stupid things in his life, other than being slow and deluded by technology. Back in the day, Chris walked all the way back from town, back home after a night out. I should point out that it was a good 40-minute walk, and at the best of times, add an evening's alcohol into the equation, and it could be considerably longer. Anyway, he made it. He made it all the way back home, only to fall asleep on the doorstep with the key in the door. So close. A few years ago, Chris and Ali had a real test of their relationship one night in Edinburgh. we were all heading out to a comedy club, and Chris was more or less actually on time, until he stepped into the lift with Ali, Beads and Stu. Stu, over here, mate.
Unreliable.
The guys thought it would be fun to bounce the lift, you know. Despite Ali's protest that she was a little claustrophobic. Inevitably, after one big bounce, the lift stopped. It didn't move again until they were released an hour later by the fire brigade. If Chris hadn't suffered enough at the Rapper Valley that night, they arrived late for the comedy and our table was right in front of the stage. They had to make their way to our table. Inevitably, they were given a lot of grief by the comedian as well. Returning to my court theme, I should make it clear that other than being here today, Chris has had no involvement in the wedding preparation. If we had, the date would have been pushed back several months. Ali actually managed to convince Chris that the wedding was due to start at 9 a.m. this morning. Only way to get into the church on time. So, all jokes aside, I have to say I have a certain amount of respect with Chris's leisurely pace of life, because it comes with a good amount of patience and an equal dose of precise selection. Examples of this are the car, which he's building, for which every nut, bolt, dial, wheel has been selected only after scouring through every catalogue, magazine and website to find the most suitable item available. And of course, patiently waiting for the right girl to come along, having scoured through every catalogue. And then marrying her. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to raise a glass with me to Chris and his first wife, Ali. Thank you.